This module will review the workspace in Acrobat related to Fusion Pro. Once the data source is defined for a Fusion Pro document, the tools, palettes, and functionality comes to life. While it is obvious where the main document space is, all the components for building the document might not be. The Fusion Pro tools will appear on the side menu, and there are two ways to access these. First, just start typing in Fusion Pro, and the tools will populate below the search field at the top. Second, with the clear menu, click the More Tools icon. Scroll down to the Add-ons section near the bottom. You'll see the Fusion Pro icon. You can either open it or add a shortcut to make this a default on your Tools menu. Tools can be broken down into two categories: Frame Tools and the steps or actions for building the document. As an alternative to the side menu, Quick Tools can be used to add tools to the ribbon along the top. To add these, right-click within the top menu, select the gear icon to customize Quick Tools, and scroll down to find the Fusion Pro section. Select each tool and the Add button. Once added, they can be adjusted as needed. Now that the tools are set to your preference, let's take a closer look at the frame drawing tools. Each frame type has its own tool. Text and graphic are the most common. There's also text on a curve and charts. All frames are drawn in the same way. To select or adjust any frame, Fusion Pro honors the hand tool along the top, or using our selection tool, you may grab the corners or simply drag the frame into position. When a frame is selected, the arrows on the keyboard can also be used. If the frame is double-clicked, the Frame Properties palette opens, where the X-Y position and height-width values can be adjusted. Text frames can be linked for overflowing using the Chain tool, clicking them in sequence to link, and using the Broken Chain tool to unlink. If you've been following the series of videos, you'll see that the frames we have in this document have been exported out using the InDesign plugin and export. So none of the frames I've drawn are necessary. And finally, the curved arrows are used for undo and redo. Each of the steps in the build can also be found on the Steps palette. To open it, click the Fusion Pro icon on the side menu or toolbar if added. The Fusion Pro option along the top menu items provides additional access to functionality, a lot of which can already be accessed using the tools or palettes. For now, let's take a look at the available Fusion Pro palettes open from this menu. The Steps palette provides a guide to the normal steps done when building a document. The Frame Properties palette changes based on the type of frame selected in the document. The content on this palette will be reviewed in detail when adding the variables to their frames. The Document Overview palette displays the pages in the document along with each of the frames, which can be selected and adjusted via the Frames Properties palette. Finally, the Preview Record Selector shows the fields and values from the data source. The checkbox at the bottom will activate the preview, displaying the values related to the respective variables in each frame. This will be examined further in the video outlining Step 5 for previewing the template. At this point, no variables have been inserted into the document's frames, so nothing will change in the preview. Your preference for using Fusion Pro will ultimately point you toward the palettes or menus you use to get the job done. The material outlined in this video should give you a good starting point. Using each of the tools and palettes will be covered in detail as we continue building this document. That concludes this overview video of the Fusion Pro Workspace.